Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about the trip that I just took where I went 10 days backpacking in Peru. I have two things to clarify. One, by backpacking, I guess I mean not like camping in a tent and stuff, like we stayed in hostels and things like that, but I only took a backpack, and if you want to see what I packed for that, that was my last video. And two, I know I look like a skater boy, but I'm not. I'm a female. My hair, I don't know. Should I bring it more towards the front? Yeah, maybe that's better. I don't know, man. I'm sorry about this. Anyway, so today I'm going to go over what I did in Peru and yeah, kind of recap the video. I took a lot of small clips while I was there, so I will have a good chunk of this video will just be clips and either music playing or me talking over it. But if I just made a video of the clips, it wouldn't make any sense what we were doing. So I'm gonna talk and there will be clips playing over what I'm talking about. So I brought this little journal with me, and this is what I'm gonna be using because I journaled every single day. So I guess I'll start off. Our flight was pretty early in the morning, so we left and we took a flight. We took Spirit Airlines to get to Peru, which seems real sketch, but it worked out. We got there. The nice thing is we planned a lot of the trip beforehand, so I actually, in this journal, I kind of also planned it, and I don't know if you, I mean, if you want to look at it, you could like pause the video and see, but I kind of laid out all the days because we're gonna go from Lima to Cusco to Machu Picchu, back to Cusco, then back to Lima to fly home. But most of our time was going to be in Cusco. And we also booked all of the hostels and homestays beforehand. So we stayed in hostels in Lima and in Aguascalientes, but in Cusco we stayed in a homestay, which I'll talk about more in a second, but I'm just going to kind of move chronologically, so hopefully this makes sense. So yes, we stayed at the Peru Backpackers Hostel in Lima, which was pretty nice. It was very hot. It didn't have any AC or anything like that. So it was a pretty hot thing, but we were only there for 2 nights, so it wasn't bad at all. And also, they had bomb food. So we only had 1 to 2 meals a day. We never had 3, and we maybe bought 1, just because we didn't want to spend that much money. Yes, but this hostel had really good food that you could make. Once it hit dinner time, they had someone there making food, and it was either chaufa I got, or it was pollo lomo or something like that. I went with 2 of my friends, and they also got similar things, so we all just kind of shared our food. So I guess I should give background. The currency in Peru is soles. It's about $1 per 3 soles. If I were to change something, that would be one, is to only convert a little bit, but then mainly convert when you're in Peru because you got such a better deal. Something that I do recommend if you're staying in hostels is to bring a lock. I brought a lock for my backpack, and at first I was like, this is probably useless, blah, 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 but it's actually really helpful because hostels can have lockers, but they don't always provide locks like this one didn't. So it was really nice having a lock. So the first day we got to Lima, we got there pretty late, so we just pretty much went to bed. And then the next day we weren't sure what to do because unfortunately about the Peru hostel is it's not super close to the city, like walking distance, and it's in kind of a sketch area, so we didn't want to necessarily walk around the area, just 3 girls, especially on our first day because we weren't used to, you know, Peru as a country, and we were still kind of getting the hang of things. But you can take these little vans, and we took these vans mainly throughout our trip. And they are these little vans. I don't know if I got any clips of the ones in Lima because they were more crazy than the ones in Cusco, but it's just this little dinky van that they fit tons of people in, and it's privately run, so it's not like you buy a ticket or anything, you just get on, and it was very cheap. The ones in Cusco, it was about 0.7 soles, but so not even 1 sole, which is a third of $1, so it's very cheap. But from the Peru hostel, we just asked the lady at the front desk. I guess I am minoring in Spanish, so I'm not amazing, I'm not fluent by any means, but I was able to communicate a lot there this trip, which is amazing because I loved it, because I'm always embarrassed to talk in Spanish with people in America just because I'm like, I don't know, like I'm not good, but when you have to, like when you're in Peru, it kind of forced me to, which is actually really fun. So I loved practicing my Spanish there and just hearing everybody talk and me not understanding a lot because I'm not at all good yet, but it was nice. So yeah, we just took this little van and we were on it for like maybe 25 minutes or 30. I mean, it's a long, and you're crowded. Luckily these vans, we got a seat, but you don't always. You sometimes have to stand, and if you're on it for that long, that would be a big bummer. Also, something you really, really should do is download the area on Google Maps on your phone, because you can look up restaurants and things like that without needing service, because I didn't buy an international plan or anything. So yes, that was Lima. We were able to kind of walk around the main area. It was really pretty. We got coffee at a place, we got lunch, and that was pretty much it. We didn't do too much. I didn't buy anything there, and we didn't do too many touristy things. We just sat on some benches for a while. It was very nice. Lima was definitely the hottest place we were at. I guess it's known as like Gray Lima or something like that, just because it's always cloudy but it never rains. So the next day, then we just paid again the 25 soles to get a transfer to the airport with the hostel. We took a Peruvian flight or a Peruvian airline from Lima to Cusco. And it was really nice because my backpack we could just use as a personal item, so we didn't have to pay for luggage or anything, which was very helpful because that would have just been more money, which would have been a big bummer. And that flight was only like an hour and 15 minutes maybe or something, so it was very doable. So once we got to Cusco, there was a little miscommunication. So we stayed at a homestay in Cusco. I'll talk about that for a second. We used the homestay website. And we just Googled like homestays in Cusco and we found this one couple and they were so amazing. They were wonderful to us. And so I don't know if it's the same with everybody, but it's kind of like an Airbnb. I think sometimes you actually stay in a room of these people's houses, but I think this family, they just had an extra apartment that they'd use for homestay, so it's basically like an Airbnb of just staying in an apartment. So that was kind of fun, just because we had the place for ourselves and it was more homey. The thing about a hostel too is even when I charge my phone at night, luckily my cord was long enough to reach the top bunk, but I was like, what if someone steals my phone in the middle of the night? Or I have to make sure I lock away all my goods just because people can be asses and steal things. So the nice thing about this homestay is it was like, okay, I'm at peace. I don't have to worry about my things. They have a kitchen we can use. It's a private bathroom. Our beds are bigger than twin sizes. It's cool there. In Cusco, I don't know if they had AC, but it's just much cooler in Cusco in general. But I recommend it so much. Also, a very valuable thing is we were able to talk with the people that hosted us. But I could email them, what restaurants do you recommend? And the house was right next to a bus stop, which is, it was more like a bus, I would say, than a van. So similar setup where it's just you get on the bus and you take it, and we would take it to the main plaza or wherever we were going, and it was 0.7 soles, sometimes 0.8. But yeah, I recommend homestays a lot. It was worth the extra money. Also, they gave us free breakfast in the morning, which was usually just bread and jelly and maybe cereal, but there was no milk. So in Cusco, it was really cool. We were able to go to the main plaza. We went there a good amount. We went to go to San Pedro, which was like, it had like a really cool like market area, and I got a couple things there. They had these like things where you could just pick fruits you wanted and they'd make you a juice, which was amazing. They had just a bunch of like local, it was just like people selling things. It wasn't necessarily handmade. Actually I can show you right now. So I did get this blanket there. They said it's made of alpaca. I don't know if it is, but I still like it a lot, and it wasn't very expensive. I can't remember how many soles it was, but I just got this little throw blanket, and it's pretty soft, and they had so many patterns, so many colors. I liked this more muted one, the browns and grays. So yeah, I did get this blanket. And then another day we went to San Blas, which was supposed to have like local, like actual handmade stuff, like someone weaving a blanket or someone making, like we read, of like a wood carver and stuff. We couldn't find anything. Granted, I think we went on a Sunday, so that was a bit of a bummer. We're thinking maybe just no one's open on a Sunday, but there's still a really pretty view, and we hiked up to the top because you go up a lot and it just kind of overlooks the entire city. And on our way, we stopped by this like local artist that is like famous for having long necks. But the open way to the little baby free museum, it was beautiful. It had a lot of flowers and stuff. I don't know, Cusco's just a really pretty city, I think, and I felt a lot more safe there. Like we would walk around at night, not late at night, but just like when coming back from dinner, we'd walk, because we hadn't figured out the bus system yet at the beginning. But yeah, like walking home at night from dinner and stuff like that, I just felt much more safe. Yeah, Cusco was really fun. I might be forgetting some little clips, so maybe I'll insert some right here of just cool clips that I have in Cusco that maybe I've forgotten to talk about specifically. But yeah, it was just a really cool city, and I liked it a lot. So we wanted to visit Machu Picchu, obviously, because we're in Peru. Why wouldn't we? We also wanted to visit like the Rainbow Mountains stuff, but we just didn't have the time. So we prioritized Machu Picchu. So my two other friends, they bought their tickets online for Machu Picchu, but I decided to get it there. We read both are like fine because they ended up getting in fine, so their tickets were legit. But I just figured I'd wait to get it there, just because I had extra soles too, so I was like, I'll just get it here, even though I think I could have paid in dollars. So there's a place in Cusco that's like an official place to get the Machu Picchu tickets, which was very nice. They looked for your passport and all this stuff, and it was very official. The city right before Machu Picchu is called Aguas Calientes, or it's called Machu Picchu Pueblo, which is like the town of Machu Picchu. You can take this train or this bus and things like that, but they're pretty pricey. So we're like, we're just gonna get there because we read that you can take these little vans and then walk a bunch. And so that's what we ended up doing. We were not sure how we were gonna find these companies, but luckily there's just like, I mean, when you're in Cusco, people are always coming up to you and they're like, do you want a massage? Do you want this little painting? Do you want this small alpaca keychain and all this stuff? And you're always bombarded with these questions, but I mean, usually we just keep walking and are like, no, I'm not interested. But there was one like very sweet lady, because after we bought my Machu Picchu ticket, we're like, okay, now we have to figure out how to get there. And there's just a lady of like, hey, I have free information if you want to get to Machu Picchu, or I also run a business that will help you get there. And we're like, yeah, okay, we're interested. So we followed her, and she had like her own little shop and stuff. So it was very official. It wasn't like sketchy or anything. And she said that they can help us use either the Peru or Inca rail to, I think you take a bus to a certain town and then you take this train and it goes by very fast. I think total it's 3 hours. Or she said that they have these vans that leave at 7 in the morning or 7:30. You meet in the main plaza and you take this van for about 6.5 to 7 hours, and then they drop you off at this thing called Hidroelectrica, which is a train station, and then you have to walk along the train tracks for, she said, about 2 hours until you get to Aguas Calientes. And it was, I think, it was very cheap. One thing she did note is she's like, it is rainy season, and so there are like slides because you're driving along these cliffs, and she's like, rocks can be falling, the roads can be slippery. We're required to tell you this, but just so you know, the van might have to stop because the waters could be flooding or there could be mudslides and things like that, and you have to get out of the van and walk, and then another van will meet you and pick you up. She's like, I have to tell you that. And I was like, oh boy. I was like, that would be a big bummer. She's like, if it rains in Cusco, it's raining harder over there. So she's like, just know that's a problem during this time. And we're like, okay, we're just gonna send it and hope for the best. Also, just a side note, if anyone's interested of me making a whole separate video of how to get to Machu Picchu and back for pretty cheap, let me know, because I can go in very specific details. I can list the company names. So let me know if that'd be a video you guys are interested in, because I'm not giving that much detail here. But yeah, so we took that bus the next day, I think, or maybe it was in 2 days, I don't remember, but that was rough. It was about 7 hours, I think, and I get car sick pretty easily, so I got car sick, but luckily we were able to get on the van quickly. And we all had seats. It wasn't too sketchy of vans like the ones that you take into town. It stops every couple hours to like bathroom break, and you can get like a quick snack. It stops at like basically a Peruvian 7-Eleven where they just sell like chips and, you know, fruit and things like that. But yeah, that van ride was rough. It was about, 7 hours. I was able to sleep for some of it and, you know, all this stuff, but I would wake up and it would either be pouring rain and it was so foggy that you couldn't see in front of you. I was like, how was the driver doing? Also, there's these huge boulders in the road, so we'd have to veer like around them. And also there's a lot of driving on the side of a cliff. Like you would look down and it would be like down the mountain. There was floods, and there was one point where there was so much water on the road that there were cars like stuck. And luckily we were in a van, which I think is like elevated a little bit more, so we had more traction and we were able to get going more. But also, on this van ride, our driver got pulled over once, and that was before we even left Cusco. And then we had to stop, I think it was 3 times, because the tire kept like, it sounded like it was out of line, like it would make these weird noises and stuff. And so after we went through that really flooded area, we had to stop for a while he fixed his tire. I was like, please. And then after he did that, then we started driving the cliffs. I was like, if our tire falls off and we're on this cliff, we gonna die. So that was a little sketch. And again, I was praying. I was like, I wanna go home, please. Can I make it home? Because we have to do this coming back in 2 days. So then you walk for 2 hours along the side of a railroad. That's not true. It took us about 3.5 hours. It took us so long. One of my friends, she just got ankle surgery a couple months ago, so she had to walk slower, and it's raining pretty heavily, and so we're just soaking wet walking along this train track, and it's, you know, it's rocky roads and stuff, and it was miserable. Oh my gosh, I was so sore. We also wore our sandals, because usually sandals are okay. I didn't get blisters, but both of my friends did, which is a big bummer. I'm so grateful I did not. So yeah, don't wear sandals. I know that seems like maybe that's a little bit of common sense, but that's okay. Luckily my feet were okay with it. Also, we were worried because we had to go back because you can either hike up these stairs to get to Machu Picchu, which takes a while, or you can take these buses that go every 5 minutes. And we're like, okay, we have to get back in time because we were doing this walk and the next day we were going to Machu Picchu. So we're like, we have to make it back in time for the stores to be open so we can buy these bus tickets. So luckily we did make it in time and we bought a one-way ticket up to Machu Picchu and then we're going to hike down just because we wanted to save money. And then we went to our hostel and that was where we had a nice like private room and a private bathroom. You wouldn't if you didn't have a party of 3, but luckily we did, so it was fine. And it's interesting, in the town of Aguascalientes, it is raining all the time and it's so humid that things don't dry. Like our clothes from the rainy day never dried, and also things that were dry, like when we got our bus ticket that was paper, the next day when we went to use it, it was like soft and the ink was like flaking off because the paper was so damp just because it was so wet there. It was so strange and so gross because we're just like, I just want to be dry, and like I'm wearing wet clothes and everything kind of smelt because things aren't drying, and it was so strange. It was a very strange time. So the next day we got up, so our Machu Picchu tickets were for 6 a.m., which was amazing because it was the first time and no one was there, so highly recommend. So we took the bus up, which also was a smart idea because we were so sore from that 3.5-hour walk. It was rough. And we got to Machu Picchu and it was amazing. It was so beautiful. There was fog that was kind of like settling, which was so beautiful because it was like wrapping around the mountain. And again, we got there and no one else was there, so it was just beautiful. We were able to stand on top of, I believe it was the Sun Temple, and you could see the little, I forget what it's called, but what the Incas used for, I believe, agriculture, like the little steps. You got to see the little kind of town looking thing. Like, I got pictures that you only see online, like it looks like I found it online, but it's not. Like, I just took it with my stupid iPhone 7. Like, I didn't even take it with a nice camera. And it was just beautiful. I don't know, it was so peaceful too. It was so cool. It was so cool. We also were able to walk around and we found the Inca Bridge, which looked terrifying that people used to hike around that. I don't even understand. But it was very scenic. Oh, also blessed that it wasn't raining. I was very happy about that just because we could really enjoy it. Then we went down kind of near the like ruins area and there was just alpacas walking around, which is really fun. I guess they just hang out there and people are like getting photos with them, which is really funny. But yeah, it was just so amazing. And, oh, I don't know. I loved Machu Picchu. It was so cool. I'm so glad we decided to go there because we weren't going to go because it just did cost so much money and it took up a good amount of our trip. It was 3 days total of Machu Picchu plus the traveling. But it was so worth it. I'm so glad we went. I'm so glad we took the pictures when we did and we got there right away and went to the very top just to see everything because there was like maybe 2 people down. But then, and we were able to get pictures of one another and each other with no one in the background. It was amazing. Whereas when we were starting to leave, so many people were there. It was so crowded and I'm so grateful we went when we did. Also, the fog had started to, because the sun had kind of gone away, so the fog started to rise again and the pictures weren't turning out very well because it got so foggy at one point when we were down in the ruins, like you couldn't see much. And then we did decide to go down the stairs. We flipped a coin because part of us was like, it'd be nice to save the $12, but also I'm so sore. But we flipped a coin and it said to walk down the stairs. But actually it was okay going down. I can't imagine going up. And then after that we just slept the rest of the day. We were so tired. I'm very glad we waited to do Machu Picchu towards the end of the trip just because ever since that long hike and things like that, we were just all beat. Like we could only go out for a couple hours before like we just want to go home and lay around. And the next day we decided to buy, I believe it was the Peru Rail. We decided to take it to the Hidroelectrica train station and then take the van, so we didn't have to take the 3.5-hour walk. Because also that would be stressful because if you take longer than you'd expect, you'd miss the van home. So we decided to take the train, which was I'm so glad we did. I can't remember how much money it was. I believe it was $34 US or 37 or something. But it was so worth it. sometimes you just have to be like, you know what, my health is worth more than $37, so I'm gonna use it to take the train, which I'm glad we did. Then we went back to our homestay, and we only had one more day left in Cusco before we left, and we just kind of took that time to walk around the plaza, and we got some more touristy kind of things. I got 2 more things to show you that I bought. Very happy with them. So I got these 2 sweaters. I got this one first because when we went to a place in Cusco, this was the only pattern we saw, but I got this one, which has little llamas and stuff. They had a bunch of different colors, but the same design, and so I bought this. But then when we were walking around, once we got back from Machu Picchu, we saw these designs, because we only went to one place and we're like, oh, these sweaters are amazing and they're soft. They're real alpaca again. I don't know if I believe that, but I don't care because I still like them. But then we went to this market in Cusco, and there was so many sweaters, and we're like, what were we thinking? Like, we should have just waited. So I also got this one, which is fully patterned, and I really like it. I'm kind of bummed because these 2 are kind of similar colors, like with the maroons and the oranges and the greens. Like, they're pretty similar. I guess I have a color scheme I was going for. But this one is so much more fun. I'm still grateful for the other one, but this is just an amazing sweater. And I believe this was 25 soles. But I don't know, this one's way cooler, I think. So, and then when we were heading home, and then we started noticing everyone was wearing the sweater. So maybe it's just a thing to get in Peru, and we just lucked out without knowing. I just spit. Everyone in the airport was wearing sweaters like this, and I don't know, there was a lot of sweaters. So we're like, oh, maybe we made the right decision of getting these, because apparently sweaters are the thing to get in Peru. I also did get this for Josh. It's some chocolate and coffee nibs and dark chocolate. I don't know if this is good, I don't know, but I bought it because I wanted to get him something. Oh, and then I'll quickly brief, just because I feel like this video has been so freaking long already that I probably don't need to cover more. But traveling back home was very stressful because we had to get our flight from Cusco to Lima, and then we had an 8-hour layover in Lima, which we only had an hour of Wi-Fi. Luckily they gave us an hour that time. But what did we do for 8 hours? I don't even know. We sat around, we played a lot of cards, we ate food, we sat around. 8 hours. Then we went from Lima to Florida, and unfortunately we had to go to Chicago then to Denver, but Chicago had really crappy weather, so what was supposed to be an 1.5 hour layover was, I believe, about 4.5 hours of delay in Florida. Get to Denver, and then we had to wait for a ride, and then we had to drive to our cars, and then we had to go to cars back to home. So we had about 35 hours of traveling on the way back, which was rough. It was so rough. And also we took Spirit the whole time, so there's no like movies, or you don't get water or like pretzels, like you just get your chair. And that's about it. So yeah, that was my trip. That was a long video. I'm probably gonna edit some out, but I don't know. I just wanted to share everything because it was amazing, and it was my first time being to South America. It was the first trip ever that I've planned out of the country. I mean, I've planned trips on my own to do like road trips and stuff, but that was the first time I've ever booked my own flight, booked the own hotels, booked everything ourselves, and we survived. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this was entertaining. I don't know. If anything, it's nice for me to see all the videos I took and compile them. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, again, let me know if you'd like a very comprehensive video on how to get to Machu Picchu. That's probably a very small market, but if there's anyone out there that would like a video, let me know and I can make it. So yes, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!